Good morning, students. Welcome to 8th Standard Social Revision class. So now let's open our book. So the portions for the unit test 2 are Civics first unit, how the state government works, and Economics first unit, money, savings and investment. So children, listen carefully to this session. So in this video, we are going to revise the unit test portions one by one. So before revising, children, one important note. You can collect the textbooks which are available at school, which helps you in preparing for your unit test. So now let's see the first unit of civics, that is how the state government works. So the topics covered in this unit are the governor and his powers and functions, the chief ministers and his powers and functions, the legislature, election to the assembly, the state council of ministers, the working of the state government, how the laws are made in the state government, and judiciary of the state. So children, these are all the topics which are covered in this unit. So let's revise it. So first is, our India is a democratic country. So democratic means what? Of the people, by the people and for the people. So there are two sets of government in our country. First one is the central government and the state government. So there are two sets of government in our country. First is the central government and then the state government. So the three basic functions of the government. So now let's see the three basic functions of the government. So the three branches are the legislative, judiciary and the executive. So children, the three branches in the government are the legislative, the judiciary and the executive. The legislative branch, it makes the law, the judiciary interprets the law and the executive enforces the law. So these are all the functions for each branch. So next we can see about the governor. So the governor is the constitutional head of the state. He is appointed by the President of India. The governor is appointed for a term of 5 years. However, the state government cannot remove the governor from his post. So children, the governor is the constitutional head of a state and he is appointed by the President of India and his term of office is 5 years. So there is no right for the state government to remove the governor from his post. So now let's see what are the qualifications required to be a governor. A person must be a citizen of India, should have completed 35 years of age and he cannot be a member of the parliament or the state legislature. He should not hold any office of profit. So children, these are all the qualifications required to become a governor. First is, he should be a citizen of India and should have completed 35 years of age. And he should not be the member of the legislature, that is MLA. And he should not hold any office of profit. Now, let's see about the powers and functions of the governor. So, what are all the functions of governor? First is, the governor is the chief executive in the state. So, he appoints the chief minister and the council of minister. So, the governor is the head of the state. So, he only appoints the chief minister and his council of ministers. He makes some important appointments of the state government such as the Advocate General, Chairman and the members of the State Public Service Commission and others. So, the governor makes some important appointments. Then, the President imposes emergency in the state under Article 356 on the basis of the report of the governor. So, on the basis of the report given by the governor, the President imposes an emergency in a state. Next, he summons and prorogues the sessions of the state legislature and he can dissolve the legislative assembly. So children, the governor has the right to summon. Summon means to conduct the assembly as well as to dissolve. Dissolve means to close the assembly. The money bills can be introduced in the state legislative assembly only with the approval of the governor. So the money bills can be introduced in the assembly only on the approval of the governor. The governor may nominate one member from the Anglo-Indian community to the Legislative Assembly. So the governor can nominate one member for Anglo-Indian community. The annual budget of the state government is laid before the legislature with the approval of the governor. So children, these are all the important functions of governor. Now, let's see about the position of governor. The position of governor of a state is compared to the president of India as a nominal executive. So the position of governor is compared to the position of president of India. He acts as an agent of the central government. So he acts as an agent between the state government and the central government. Therefore, he is responsible for maintaining the relation between the central government and the state government. Now let's move on to the chief minister. So how the chief minister is elected and how he is appointed. The governor appoints the leader of the majority party in the state legislative assembly as the chief minister. So the leader of the majority party is known as the chief minister. He is the head of the state council of ministers. The chief minister must be a member of the state legislature. If he is not a member of the state legislature at the time of his taking over charge, he must be so within a period of 6 months. That is, the chief minister has to be a MLA. So if he is not an MLA at the time of taking charge as a chief minister, he has to become an MLA within a period of 6 months. Now, let's see about the powers and functions of chief minister. The chief minister is the chief administrator of the state. The chief minister plays an important role in the formation of council of ministers. So children, the chief minister is the administrator of the state and he only forms his council of ministers for various departments such as health department, education department, forest department. So like that, he only selects his minister. The chief minister supervises the activities of different ministries and advises them accordingly. So he supervises each and every department and then he gives a proper advice. The chief minister plays an important role in making policies of the state government. Then he plays an important role in making higher appointments of the state government. The governor appoints different higher officials of the state government on the advice of the chief minister and his council of ministers. So the governor will give appointment only based on the advice of the chief minister and other council of ministers. So these are all the functions of a chief minister. So now let's see about the legislature. So what is a legislature? Every state has its legislature. Some states have one house, that is unicameral legislature. That is one house is legislative assembly. Some states it has two houses, that is bicameral legislature. So it has upper house and lower house. So upper house is called legislative council. So children, the legislature of a state is divided into two houses. So one is upper house, another one is lower house. Upper house is called legislative council or Vidhan Parishad and lower house is called legislative assembly or Vidhan Sabha. So children, the state legislature is divided into two houses. One is upper house, which is also called legislative council. Another one is lower house, which is known as legislative assembly. So next, bicameral. So children, bicameral states means having two houses, both the upper house as well as the lower house. So bicameralism at central level. So at the central level, we have two houses. One is Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. So Rajya Sabha is the upper house and Lok Sabha is the lower house. And at the state level also we have two houses. One is your legislative council. So legislative council is the upper house. Legislative assembly is the lower house. So in India there are 6 states which follow the bicameralism. So the 6 states are Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka and Maharashtra. So children, the 6 states which follow bicameralism are Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka and Maharashtra. So in these 6 states there are two houses, both the upper house as well as the lower house. So now let's see about the composition of Legislative Council. So Legislative Council is the upper house, which is also called Vidhan Parishad. So the total number of members in the Vidhan Parishad of a state should not exceed 1/3 of the total number of members of Vidhan Sabha, but this number should not be less than 40. So children, 1/3 of the members are elected from the local bodies and 1/6 are nominated by the governor, 1/12 constitute the teachers, 1/12 is graduates, another 1/3 is MLAs. So this is the composition of Legislative Council. Now let's see about the tenure of office of the Legislative Council. So the Vidhan Parishad, which is also known as Legislative Council, is like Rajya Sabha. So Rajya Sabha is the upper house at the central level. So it is the permanent house. So children, the Legislative Council is the permanent house. It is never dissolved. The tenure of its members is 6 years. 1/3 of its members retire after every 2 years. So 1/3 of its members retire after every 2 years. The chairman is the presiding officer of the Legislative Council. In the absence of the chairman, the deputy chairman presides over its meetings. They are elected from among the members of that house. So children, the chairman will conduct the Legislative Assembly meetings. So in the absence of chairman, the deputy chairman will conduct the meetings. So it is a permanent house, it cannot be dissolved, and the tenure of its member is 6 years. Now let's see about the qualification for an MLC. MLC means Member of Legislative Council. So what are all the qualification? In order to be a member of Legislative Council, the person should have the following qualification. So first one is to be a citizen of India, and he should have attained the age of 30 years. He should be a registered voter in the state and should not hold any office of profit. So children, the main qualification are he should be a citizen of India and his age must have completed 30 years, and he should be a registered voter in the particular state. That means he should have the voter ID. Then he should not hold any office of profit. So these are all the qualification for an MLC. So now let's see about the qualification for an MLA. MLA means Member of Legislative Assembly. He should be a citizen of India. He must have attained the age of 25 years. So children, MLC is 30 years whereas MLA is 25 years. His or her name must be in the voters list. He must not hold any office of profit and he should not be the government servant. So now let's see about the elections to the assembly. So what is the election process in the state? So first one is filling of nomination. First we have to nominate the member. Next, analysis of nomination. Then the campaigning process. So the MLAs or the members who are representing a particular constituency, so they will start their campaign process. So they will convince the people why they need to vote for them. Next is voting day, and then vote counting and the result declaration day, and finally the formation of ruling party. So children, this is the process of election in India. So first is filling of nomination, and then analysis of nomination, then campaigning for elections, and then voting day, result declaration day, and then formation of the ruling party. So now let's take an example. There are two political parties, political party A and then political party B. So they are nominating their representatives for each constituency. So for a better administrative purpose, the state is divided into small regions. So these regions are called constituencies. So now each constituency is represented by an MLA. So each constituency is represented by the MLA. Next, the MLA will start this campaigning process. So the member will start the campaigning process and they have to convince the people why they need to vote for them. Then the voting day. So according to UAF, that is Universal Adult Franchise, any citizen who have completed the age of 18 can cast their vote. So it was one of the important political right. So next is vote declaration day, that is the election results day. Suppose in that result if the political party A, it got about 118 seats. So children, in Tamil Nadu, there are 234 constituencies. Suppose if they got 118 seats means it is more than the half of 234. So the political party A, it wins the election and they forms the government. So they form the government. So children, the political party which got the majority number of seats is considered as the ruling party. So now the leader of the ruling party is known as the chief minister. So the chief minister and the council of ministers are appointed by the governor. So now let's see about legislative assembly. After being elected to the legislative assembly, the MLAs are expected to regularly participate in its sittings. So after being elected, the MLAs has to participate in the legislative assembly. The legislative assembly meets 2 or 3 times in a year. The main duty of legislative assembly is to make laws for the state. So children, the assembly is conducted 2 or 3 times in a year and all the MLAs discuss about the issues prevailing in the state. Now, let's see how the laws are made in the state government. So children, there are several kinds of rules and laws have been made for all the people of our country. So the rules and laws are made for the security purpose of the people. For example, a person should not have a gun without the license, and then the marriage age for girl is 18, for boys is 21. Then wearing helmet. So children, wearing helmet is for the safety of the citizen. So these laws are made for the security purpose for the people of the country. So let's see how the laws are made. So a bill is presented in the legislative assembly. So in the legislative assembly, the MLAs, the ruling party as well as the opposition party, so they will discuss about the issues in a state. Then debates and discussions take place. Changes can be made in the bill. So after the debate and discussion, they can make necessary changes in the bill. Then if more than half of the MLAs vote in favor of the bill, it is said to be passed. Then the bill needs to get assent of the governor to become an act. So children, first the bill is presented in the assembly and there will be discussions among the ruling party and the opposition party. So after discussion, the necessary changes are made in the bill. Then it will comes for the voting purpose. So if half of the MLA, more than half of the MLAs are in favor of the bill, then it is said to be passed. Then it needs to be approved by the governor to become an act. So this is how a bill is converted to an act. So the legislative assembly, which is the lower house, is more powerful than the legislative council, which is the upper house. So children, the lower house is said to be more powerful than the upper house. So the legislative assembly is more powerful than the legislative council. Keep this in mind. Then let's see about executing the laws. So the legislative assembly of Tamil Nadu is located at Chennai. The place where the state legislative assembly is located and where its council of ministers function is called the capital of the state. So children, the legislative assembly, that is the secretariat office of Tamil Nadu, is located at Chennai, and the place where the assembly is located and where the council of ministers they meet for their assembly meetings is said to be the capital of the state. So the main function of executive branch is to implement the laws which are made by the legislature. So the government appoints various officers for every department, like your IAS, for Indian Administrative Service, then the police officers, then the teachers, doctors. So they all work for the upliftment of the state. Next we can see about the judiciary of the state. So the High Court stands at the apex of state judiciary. So at the state level, the High Court is at the apex. Apex means at the top level. As per the constitution, there shall be a High Court in each state. So children, for each state there will be a High Court. But there may be a common High Court for 2 or more states and union territories. The state High Court consists of the Chief Justice and other judges as President may appoint from time to time if necessary. So children, the President appoints the Chief Justice and other judges for the High Court. So now let's see what are the qualifications required to become a High Court judge. He must be a citizen of India. He must have at least 10 years experience as head of the judicial office in the territory of India. So first one is he must be a citizen of India. Then 10 years experience in the judicial office. And then he must have at least 10 years experience as an advocate. Advocate means lawyer. So he must have at least 10 years experience in one or more high courts. So these are all the qualifications to become the High Court judge. So now let's see about the retirement age of the High Court judge. So a judge of a High Court holds the office until he completes the age of 62 years. A judge of the High Court can be removed from office only for proven misbehavior or incapacity. So children, the retirement age for a High Court judge is 62 years and he can be removed from the office only if he has any proven misbehavior or if he is inefficient. So now let's see about the powers and functions of the High Court. The High Court has been empowered to issue writs. So writs means a written document which I have explained in the this class video session, which I will provide you in the description below. So the High Court has been empowered to issue writs of habeas corpus, mandamus, prohibition, certiorari and quo warranto for the enforcement of fundamental rights and for other purposes. Every High Court has a general power of superintendence over all the lower courts and tribunals within its jurisdiction except the military courts and tribunals. So children, every High Court, it has a power to control its lower court except the military court. Next, if a case is pending before a subordinate court and the High Court is not satisfied that it involves a substantial question of constitutional law, it can take up the case and decide it itself. So, if the case at the subordinate court, that means at the lower court, is not satisfied, means the case can be moved to the High Court. Then the High Court controls all the subordinate courts in the state. Like the Supreme Court, the High Court also acts as a court of record. So children, these are all the functions of the High Court. So we have come to an end of this lesson. So now let's see some most expected question in how the state government works. So let's see it in section wise. First one is choose the correct answer. The governor of a state is appointed by, the options are President, Vice President, Prime Minister and Chief Minister. So children, the correct answer is President. The governor of a state is appointed by the President. Then the State Council Ministers is headed by, the options are the Governor, Chief Minister, Speaker and Home Minister. So we all know the Council of Ministers are selected by Chief Minister. So the correct answer is Chief Minister. Next, third question, who can summon and prorogue the sessions of the state legislature? Home Minister, option B President, C Speaker, D the Governor. So Governor only can summon and prorogue the sessions. So the correct answer is the Governor. Fourth question, who does not participate in the appointment of the High Court judge? First is Governor, option B Chief Minister, option C Chief Justice of the High Court and option D President of India. So children, who does not participate in the appointment of High Court judge? That means option C is the correct answer. Chief Justice of the High Court. So he only does not participate in appointing the High Court judge. The age of retirement of the judges of the High Court is 62, 64, 65, 58. So we have seen. So the age of retirement for High Court judges 62 years. Make a note of it. Now let's move on to the next section, that is fill in the blanks. So how many states are there in India at present? So children, at present we have 28 states. The tenure of the governor is normally for how many years? So the time period of the governor is 5 years. The term of office for governor is 5 years. Third question, the district judges are appointed by whom? So who appoints a district judge? The district judges are appointed by the governor. So the answer is the governor. The governor is the constitutional head of the state. So children, the answer is the governor is constitutional head. Fifth question, the minimum age for an MLA is 25 years. So the minimum age to become an MLA is 25, whereas MLC means it is 30 years. So now let's see the match the following. So the governor is the real head. The chief minister is the nominal head. The legislative assembly is the lower house. Legislative council is the upper house. So children, make a note of this. Now let's move on to true or false. The chief minister is the chief administrator of the state. So it is true. So chief minister only is known as the chief administrator of the state. So the statement is true. Second question, the governor nominates 2 members of the Anglo-Indian community to legislative assembly. So it is false, because the governor nominates only 1 member from the Anglo-Indian community. Third question, the number of judges in the High Court is not uniform and fixed. It is true. The number of judges in the High Court, it is not fixed. It is not fixed in number. So the statement is true. So now let's move on to choose the correct statement. The state legislative assembly participates in the election of president, vice president, Rajya Sabha members, members of legislative council of the state. So you have to choose which one is correct. The correct answer is 1, 3 and 4. So the members of the legislative assembly, they participate in the election of president, and then they participate in Rajya Sabha members, and then members of legislative council of the state. So the correct answer is 1, 3 and 4. Now let's move on to answer the following questions, 2-mark questions. Name the 2 houses of the state legislature. So we have seen there are 2 houses, upper house and lower house. In India, the state legislature consists of the governor and 1 or 2 houses. The upper house is called the legislative council, while the lower house is called the legislative assembly. Second question, write the qualification of the members of the legislative assembly. So first qualification is he must be a citizen of India. He or she must be 25 years and above. He or she must be an elector for any constituency in the state. That means he or she must have the voter ID. Third question, how is the chief minister appointed? So the governor appoints the leader of the majority party in the state legislative assembly as the chief minister. He is the head of the state council of ministers. Fourth question, how is the council of ministers formed? So children, first point is the party which gets majority seats in the election, they form the government. The leader of the majority party in the election is chosen as the chief minister. Then the chief minister chooses his ministers from the MLAs of his party. On the advice of the chief minister, the governor appoints the other ministers. So council of ministers headed by the chief minister forms the state government. So these are all the procedure for the formation of council of ministers. Next, answer in detail. First question, discuss the powers and functions of chief minister. So children, you can write any 5 points. The chief minister is the chief administrator of the state, and he plays an important role in the formation of council of ministers. He supervises the activities of different ministries and advises them accordingly. The chief minister plays an important role in making the policies of the state government. He plays an important role in making higher appointments of the state government. The governor appoints the different higher official of the state government on the advice of chief minister and his council of ministers. So children, you can remember this answer by the keywords which I have highlighted. So these are all the functions of chief minister. So you can write any 5. So now let's move on to the second question. Discuss the powers and functions of the legislative assembly. So we all know the main duty of legislative assembly is to make the laws. So the assembly has control over the state council of ministers. The state council of ministers are responsible or answerable to the assembly for its activities. So the council of ministers, they are the responsible person for particular department. Next, the assembly may pass a no confidence motion against the council of ministers and bring its downfall if it is not satisfied with the performance of the Council of Ministers. So, the Legislative Assembly, they can pass no confidence bill if they are not satisfied with the performance of the minister. Then, the Legislative Assembly has control over the finances of the state. The money bill can be introduced only in the Assembly. The elected members of the Legislative Assembly can take part in the elections of the President of India, and all members can take part in the election of the members of the Rajya Sabha from the state. The Assembly also takes part in the amendment of Constitution on certain matters. So children, you can write any 5 points. So these are all the important keywords which has to be present in the answer. So now let's move on to the third question. Write about the powers and functions of the High Court. So first one is, it is empowered to issue writs. So writs like habeas corpus, mandamus, prohibition, certiorari, quo warranto. Then it is the superintendence over all lower courts. So it can control the lower courts except the military court. Third point, if a case is pending at the lower court, it can be moved to the High Court. Fourth is, the High Court controls all the subordinate courts in the state. So it controls all the lower level courts. Like the Supreme Court, it acts as a court of record. So children, I hope you are clear with the civics first unit, how the state government works lesson. So now let's move on to the second unit, that is the economics first lesson, money, savings and investments. So the topics covered in this unit are evolution of money, barter system, major stages of evolution of money, history of metallic money, value of money, functions of money, savings in banks and investments, then about the black money. So these are all the topics covered in this lesson. So now let's discuss it one by one. First, let's see about the evolution of money. So the word money is derived from the Roman word moneta Juno. It is the Roman goddess and the republic money of Roman Empire. So children, the money is derived from the Roman word moneta Juno, which means the Roman goddess. Then the Indian rupee is derived from the Sanskrit word rupiah, which means silver coin. So Indian rupee is derived from Sanskrit word rupiah, which means silver coin. So the barter system. In ancient times, before money was invented, people exchanged goods directly for other goods. So this way of carrying out exchange is called barter. So barter system means exchange of goods for goods without money. So let's see the disadvantages of barter system. First one is lack of double coincidence of wants. For example, if person 1 has sugar, person 2 has sweet. So now the person 1, he wants rice, but person 2, he wants sugar. So what he have to do is, the person 2 has to find the person who has rice and he have to exchange the wheat with rice, and then he have to come again and exchange for sugar. So it is a very complex process. So it is considered as one of the major drawback in the barter system. Next is lack of common measure of value. For example, if person 1 has milk and person 2 has cloth, means there is no measurement. The third disadvantage is lack of indivisibility. For example, person 1 has cow, person 2 has chair. So we all know that cow is more costlier than chair. So there is no way to divide the cow in order to make it equal worth to the chair. So it is one of the major drawback. The fourth drawback is difficulties of storing wealth. So the fruits and vegetables cannot be stored for much longer time. So it may get spoiled. So these are all the 4 drawbacks of barter system. Now let's go on to the evolution of money. So the evolution of money starts from the commodity money, metallic money, paper money, near money, and then recent forms of money. So now let's see what is a commodity money. In the earliest period of human civilization, any commodity that was generally demanded and chosen by the common consent was used as a money. So in the ancient time, they exchanged the commodities. So commodities means the products or the goods. So there was no money at that time. So goods like furs, skins, salt, rice, wheat, utensils, weapons, so they are all exchanged. So this type of exchange is called barter exchange. So commodity money means exchange of commodities or goods. So it is known as barter exchange. Next is metallic money. So with the progress of human civilization, commodity money, it got changed to metallic money. So metals like gold, silver, copper, etc. were in use. Now, the currencies made up of gold, silver and copper are known as tanka. So, the currencies which are made up of gold, silver and copper are known as tanka, and the lower valued coins are known as jitals. So, high value coins are called tanka, low value coins are called jitals. So, next, Sher Shah Suri issued the silver coin of 178 grams known as rupiah and was divided into 40 copper pieces or paisa, and during the whole Mughal period silver coin remained in use. So the Sher Shah Suri, he issued the silver coin which is known as rupiah. Then in 1717 AD, Farrukh a Mughal emperor, he gave permission to the Britishers to coin Mughal money at the Bombay Mint. So in 1770 AD, Farrukh a Mughal emperor, he gave permission to the British to coin the Indian money, to coin the Mughal money at the Bombay Mint. So in 1600, we all know that 1600, the British entered into India. So in 1717, Farrukh he gave permission. So the British gold coins were termed as Carolina. The British gold coins were termed as Carolina. Then the British silver coins were termed as Angelina. The British tin coins were termed as Tinny. Then we can see about the development of paper money. So how the paper money was developed. So paper money is regulated and controlled by the central bank of the country. So which is called the Reserve Bank of India, which is known as the Reserve Bank of India. So the Reserve Bank of India was set up in 1935. So the Reserve Bank of India was set up in 1935. So why they moved to paper money means, so the metallic money, that is the metal coins made up of gold, silver, it is more weight and it was very inconvenient to carry from one place to another. For that purpose only they invented paper money. The first paper currency issued by RBI, RBI means Reserve Bank of India, was a 5 rupee note bearing the portrait of King George VI in 1938. So the first paper currency was a 5 rupee note with a figure with a portrait of the King George VI, which was issued in the year 1938. Next, we can see about the credit or the bank money. Emergence of credit money took place almost side by side with that of the paper money. People keep a part of their cash as deposits with bank, which they can withdraw at their convenience through checks. So children, people will deposit certain amount in the bank and they can withdraw it at their own convenience by using the check. So the check is the credit money. So even though it is a paper, it has equal worth to that of the money. So the check, known as a credit money or a bank money itself, is not a money but it performs the same functions of money. So the check is not a money but it has the same value as that of the paper money. Now let's move on to near money. So some examples of near money are bills of exchange, treasury bills, bonds, debentures and savings certificate. Now the recent forms of money. So recent form of money is plastic money. So we all know credit cards and debit cards. So the latest type of money is plastic money in the form of credit cards and debit cards. The main aim of the plastic money is to provide cashless transaction. Without using the cash, we can use the card for every transaction. Next is e-money. So e-money means electronic money and it is a money which exists in banking computer system and it is available for transactions through electronic system. So e-money means electronic money. We can make the transactions through the online, that is through the computer systems. Then it is online banking or net banking. So online banking, which is also known as internet banking, is an electronic payment system that enables customers of the bank or other financial institutions to conduct a range of financial transactions through website. So online banking means through the bank website we can do the transactions. So the main aim is cashless transaction. Without using the cash, by sitting at one place, we can make the transaction. So next is e-banking. E-banking, which is also known as electronic banking. It is also called National Electronic Funds Transfer, is simply the use of electronic means to transfer funds directly from one account to another rather by check or cash. So e-banking means transferring the money from one account to another account without the providing the cash or the check in hand. Now let's move on to who invented the symbol of rupee. So the Indian rupee symbol was designed by Mr. Uday Kumar. He belonged to Viluppuram district in Tamil Nadu. It was approved by the Government of India on 15th July 2010. So children, the Indian rupee symbol was designed by Mr. Uday Kumar. So make a note of this. Next, we can move on to the value of money. So the value of money is meant the purchasing power of the money. So the value of money is depend on the products which you are buying over the goods and services in the country. Thus, it is related to the price level of the goods and services. So children, there are two types of value of money. One is internal value of money. Another one is external value of money. So internal means it is purchased within the country over the domestic products. External means purchase outside the country. The foreign goods and services comes under external value of money. Now let's move on to nature of money. So according to Satovsky is an economist. Money is difficult concept to define, partially because it fulfills not one but three functions. So according to an economist named Satovsky, he told that money is a difficult concept to explain because it performs three functions. One is it is a unit of account, a medium of exchange, and third one is a store of value. So now let's move on to nature of money. So according to Sir John Hicks, he is also an economist. He told that money is defined by its functions. Anything is money which is used as money. Money is what money does. Money is what money does. Let's move on to functions of money. Based on the functions, it is categorized under three. One is primary or main functions, secondary functions, and next is contingent functions. So now let's see it one by one. So first is primary or main functions. The important functions of money performed in every economy are classified under main functions. So the three main function is as a medium of exchange. So something accepted as payment. So we can exchange the money. Next is as a measure of value, a common denominator that can be used to express its worth. And then as a store of value, the property that allows people to be saved until later. So it performs three major functions. One is a medium of exchange. By giving money, you can get something. And then as a measure of value. And then there's a store of value. You can save it for future. Next is secondary function. So under secondary function, first one is standard of deferred payments. That means when you borrow money, you have to repay it along with the interest. So it is a deferred payment. So money helps the future payments too. A borrower borrowing money today places himself under an obligation to pay a specified sum of money on some specified future date. So when you borrow money, you have to return it or repay it along with the interest. So it is known as the standard of deferred payments. So now let's see about another function, that is transfer of value or transfer of purchasing power. The money makes exchange of goods to distant places as well as abroad possible. So we can exchange goods to abroad also. Abroad means to foreign countries also. Next, it was therefore felt necessary to transfer purchasing power from one place to another. So children, money acts as a transfer of value or transfer of purchasing power. So now let's move on to the third function, that is the contingent function. So it acts as a basis of credit, increase productivity of capital, measurement and distribution of national income. So these comes under contingent functions. Now let's see about inflation. So what is inflation? So inflation means the rising. It refers to the prices or rising and the value of money will fall. So inflation means prices are rising. Deflation means prices are falling. Deflation means prices are falling, the value of money will rise. So now let's move on to savings. So what is savings? Savings are defined as a part of consumers' disposable income which is not used for current consumption, rather kept aside for future use. Savings means you will save a part of the income for future use. So there are several ways to save money. So what are the ways means? First one is student saving account, then savings deposit, then current account deposit, and then fixed deposit. So what is student saving account? Some banks offer savings account for young people enrolled in high schools and colleges. So some banks they offer savings account for young people who are enrolled in high school and colleges. So the main features of these account is to maintain the zero balance. So you can maintain the account with zero balance. Then the savings deposit. Savings deposits are opened by the customers to save the part of their current income. The customers can withdraw their money from their accounts when they require it. The banks also give a small amount of interest to the money in the savings deposit. So saving deposit means the customers can open an account and they can save their money, and the bank also will give interest. Next, we can see about current account. So current accounts are generally opened by business firms, traders and public authorities. Current accounts help in frequent banking transactions as they are repayable on demand. So children, current account is a type of account opened by the business firms for business purpose. Then fixed deposit. Fixed deposit account are meant for investors who want their principal to be safe and yield them fixed yields. So fixed deposit means we are depositing a certain amount for a specific period of time. The fixed deposits are also called as term deposit because we are investing for a specific period of time, as normally they are fixed for specific period. So children, fixed deposit means depositing certain amount in the bank for a specific time period, which it is also known as term deposit. Next, we can see what are the benefits of savings. So you will be financially independent sooner. You would not have to worry any unforeseen expenses. In future, you will have financial backup in place if you lose your job. You will be prepared if your circumstances change. You will be more comfortable in retirement. Save today for better tomorrow. So children, the benefits of saving are you will be financially independent and you will be confident to face all the unexpected situations in your life. So children, save today for a better tomorrow. Next, we can move on to investment. So what is investment? The process of investing something is known as investment. It could be anything, that is money, time, efforts or other resources that you exchange to earn returns in future. Investment can be made in different investment vehicles like stock, bonds, mutual funds, insurance, annuities, deposit account or any other security or assets. So investment means we are investing on stocks or bonds or any insurance to get future returns. Now let's see the distinguish between the savings and the investment. So savings means savings represent that part of the person's income which is not used for consumption. So we are saving the part of the income. Then investment means it refers to the process of investing funds in capital asset with a view to generate returns. So investment means we are investing in some property. So what is the motive is to get a large returns in future. Next, purpose. So savings are made to fulfill short terms or urgent requirements. So in case of any emergency, you can withdraw the amount from your savings deposit. Whereas investment is made to provide returns and help in capital formation. So investment is made to provide huge returns. Next, risk, low or negligible. So in savings, the risk is very low because you can withdraw the amount whenever necessary. Whereas investment, the risk is very high. So we are seeing a lot of fraudulent cases. So investment, the risk is very high. Next, returns. So in returns, it will be no, whether the bank will give some specific interest or less returns. But in investment, we can get very high returns. Next, liquidity. So it is highly liquid and then it is less liquid. So the savings are highly liquid and the investment is less liquid. So liquidity means in savings you can get the cash on spot. Whenever it is necessary, you can withdraw the cash. Whereas in investment, only after the particular time period you can get the returns. So children, this is the comparison between the savings and investments. Now, let's see about black money. So what is black money? Black money is a form of unaccountable money which is not shown to the government. Black money is mostly created by business people. They do not show the actual income earned in their economic activities. They show only a part of income earned for the purpose of tax evasion. So black money is a unaccountable money which is not shown to the government. So why they are doing like this means to evade for tax evasion, to reduce the tax. Then the black money is accumulated by criminals, smugglers, hoarders, tax evaders and other antisocial elements of the society. The root cause for increasing rate of black money in the country is the lack of strict punishment. So, let's see what are the effects of black money on economy. So, first one is dual economy. So, dual economy in terms of developed sector on one side and underdeveloped sector on the other side. Then tax evasion. So, because of tax evasion, that means showing a false account to the government, there is a loss of revenue to the government. Then undermining equity. Then widening gap between the rich and the poor. Lavish consumption spending. Distortion of production pattern. Distribution of scarce resource and then effects on production. So children, these are all the effects of black money. Now, let's see what are all the steps taken by the government against the black money. Under the pressure from India and other countries, Switzerland has made key changes in its local laws governing assets foreign allegedly stashed in Swiss banks. Special investigation team appointed by the government on the directions of Supreme Court on black money and then demonetization. So these are all the steps taken by the government against black money. Now let's see some legislative framework in India against black money. So first one is Prevention of Money Laundering Act passed in the year 2002, Lokpal and Lokyayukta Act, Prevention of Corruption Act in 1988, the Undisclosed Foreign Income and Asset Bill, Imposition of Tax 2015, Binami Transaction Prohibition Act 1988 and it was amended in the year 2016. The Real Estate Regulation and Development Act was passed in the year 2016. So these are all the act which was passed or framed in India against black money. So we have reached the end of this lesson. So children, save today for a better tomorrow. So now let's see some most expected questions in money savings and investments. So let's see it in section wise. First is choose the correct answer. Which metals were used for metallic money? Options are gold, silver, bronze, all the above. So we have seen all the above metals were used in making metallic money. So the answer is all the above. Second question, who introduced the paper money? Options are British, Turkish, the Mughal Empire and the Mauryas. So children, the correct answer is British. Then the third question, the value of money is option A, internal value of money, option B, external value of money, C, both A and B and D, none of these. So children, we have seen two value of money. One is internal, another one is external. Internal means purchasing power over domestic products, that is within the country. External means purchasing power over foreign goods. So the value of money includes both A and B. Then the fourth question, which is bank money? Option A, check, draft, credit and debit cards and all the above. So the correct answer is check. Fifth question, pick out the incorrect one. Investment can be made in different vehicle: stock, bonds, mutual fund and pay tax. So the correct answer is pay tax. Then sixth question, who is responsible for the collection and publication of monetary and financial information? Option A, Finance Commission, B, Finance Ministry, C, Reserve Bank of India, D, Auditor. So children, the correct option is Reserve Bank of India. So now let's move on to fill in the blanks. First question, online banking is also known as net banking, which is known as money. So children, money is what money does. So the answer is money. Third question, the term of bank is derived from German word. So bank is derived from a German word. The value of money is meant the purchasing power of money. So the answer is the purchasing power. The Indian Banking Regulation Act was passed in the year 1949. So the Indian Banking Regulation Act was passed in the year 1949. So now let's see match the following. So barter system means exchange of goods for goods. Reserve Bank of India was set up in the year 1935. E-money means electronic money. Savings means consumers' disposable income. Black money means tax evaders. Now let's see one word answer. First question, the word money is derived from. Answer is the word money is derived from Roman word moneta juno. So it is derived from a Roman word moneta juno. Second question, which bank gives to both short-term and long-term loans? Answer is Rural Cooperative Credit Institutions. The next section is choose the correct statement. Barter system had many deficiencies like lack of double coincidence of wants, no difficulties of storing wealth, common measure of value, indivisibility of commodities. So the correct statement for this is 1, 3 and 4 is correct because it has difficulties of storing wealth. So the second statement is wrong. Let's see, find out the odd one. Recent forms of money transaction are credit card, barter system, debit card and online banking. So the odd one is barter system because it is the ancient method of exchange. Second question, effects of black money on economy is dual economy, undermining equity, no effects on production, lavish consumption, spending. So the odd one is no effects on production because black money has effect on production. So now let's move on to short answer. What is barter system? So barter system means what? It is exchanging goods for goods without the use of money in the primitive stage, and it is the oldest method of exchange. Second question, what are the recent forms of money? Plastic money and e-money. Third question, write short note on e-banking and e-money. So e-money means what? Electronic money, which exists in banking computer system and it is available for transactions through electronic system. E-banking means electronic banking, which is also known as National Electronic Funds Transfer, is simply the use of electronic means to transfer funds directly from one account to another. Fourth question, what are the essential of money in your life? So you can write this answer on your own. Why you need money in your life? So money is used as a source to fulfill your basic needs. Then it will get you the accommodation, the clothes, food and other things. And it is an important source of life. So next is, what is the value of money? So value of money means it is the purchasing power of money over goods and services. So now let's see the sixth question. What is the commercial bank and its types of deposit? So a bank that offers services to the general public and companies is the commercial banks. So the type of deposit are time deposit. So time deposit is also called fixed deposit, recurring deposit, current account and savings account. Seventh question, what is savings and investment? So savings means saving a part of consumers' disposable income which is not used for current consumption. Investment means investing something like money, time and other resources to get exchange in future. So next, the eighth question, what is meant by black money? Black money is any money which is not paid to the government. So it is earned in an illegal activity. Ninth question, what are the effects of black money on economy? First is dual economy, then tax evasion, thereby loss of government, loss of revenue to the government. And third point is widening gap between the rich and the poor. So now let's move on to the detailed question. First is, what are the disadvantages of barter system? So for this, you can start with the definition of barter system and you can write the four major disadvantages. First one is lack of double coincidence of wants, common measure of value, indivisibility of commodities, difficulties of storing wealth. The second question, write about the evolution of money. So you have to explain from the commodity money, that is from the barter system. So in the earliest method of human civilization, any commodity that was generally demanded and chosen by common consent was used as a money. Then you have to explain about the metallic money. With the progress of human civilization, commodity money changed into metallic money and metals like gold, silver, copper were used. Then you have to explain the paper money. So it was found inconvenient as well as dangerous to carry gold and silver coin. For that purpose, they invented paper money. So paper money is regulated by the central bank of the country, that is the RBI, Reserve Bank of India. So next, you have to explain the credit money or bank money. So the emergence of credit money took place along side to side with the paper money. So the example of bank money is check. Then you have to explain about the near money. So the final stage in the evolution of money is near money. So examples are bills of exchange, treasury bills, bonds, debentures, saving certificate, etc. So children, if the question is asked like evolution of money means, you have to explain from the commodity money till the near money. So now let's see what are the functions of money. So first tell there are three basic functions: primary, secondary and contingent function. Then you have to explain one by one. So under primary you have medium of exchange or means of payment and then measure of value. Then secondary function, under secondary you have standard of deferred payments. So deferred payments means money helps the future payments too. A borrower borrowing money, he has to place himself under an agreement that he should return the money with the specified interest on the date. Then the transfer of value or transfer of purchasing power. Then contingent function, under contingent you have basis of credit, increased productivity of capital, measurement and distribution of national income. So this is the answer for the functions of money. Now let's see about the types of bank deposit. So there are four types: student saving account, saving deposit, current account deposit and fixed deposit. So you have to explain each by putting the side headings. So student saving account means some banks offer savings account for young people enrolled in high schools and colleges with zero balance. Savings deposit means you are depositing in a particular bank and you can withdraw at your convenient level, and the bank also will provide some amount of interest. Next is current account. So current account means it is opened by the business firms. Then fixed deposit means it is also known as term deposit. So after the particular period of time, you can withdraw the amount. So the fifth question is, what are the effects of black money? So you have to give any 5 points. Dual economy, tax evasion, undermining equity, widening gap between the rich and the poor, lavish consumption spending, distortion of production pattern. Now the sixth question is, what are the difference between the savings and investment? So you have to put the tabular column like this: savings, investment. First give the definition of savings. So if savings means what? The person's income which is not used for consumption, saving the person's income. Investment means for future returns. Then the purpose of saving is for short term period, whereas the investment means it is long term period. Then the risk is very low, where the investment the risk is very high. Returns is less, whereas in investment it is very high. It is highly liquid. Savings are highly liquid means you can get the cash whenever necessary, whereas investment is less liquid. So after the particular period of time only you can get the returns. So children, I hope you are benefited with this revision class. So now it's time to study. So preparation is the key to success. So preparation is the key to all kind of success. So prepare well and study well. And I have provided the links for the unit test 2 portions in the description below. So you can refer that video also. So children, all the best. Unit test 2 revision is completed.